Halifax Sports Talk for Monday, November 24th. Andrew and Dayton with you, and we are here to recap the Mooseheads weekend. And man, it was kind of a different type of weekend and the Mooseheads have experienced here because it started off great, but they got their first real gut punch of the season. You got to love it, Dayton, because you see it two different types of teams, and it's your typical road trip and your typical letdown spot to end a road trip, but a 2-1 weekend for this Halifax Mooseheads team. How are you? How was your weekend? And how would you grade this Halifax Mooseheads road trip?
Well, my weekend was good. I was on the road doing some play-by-play. Hope your weekend was good as well. Hope everyone's weekend was good. The Mooseheads, they just actually posted this morning, waking up on a Monday morning, taking 4 of 6 on the road. So obviously they're not feeling too bad about that 9-3 loss to Chicoutimi, but it definitely is still in their heads as their latest loss and their only, like you said, gut punch of this season. The first time we've talked about it, like last episode, they don't really lose big. When they lose, it's close, and when they win, it's pretty close sometimes as well. So, yeah, it's something new for them to experience this season, and I think Brad McKenzie will definitely have something to say.
Maybe I should be the one taking the blame for this. I was talking them up. This team never loses in lopsided fashion. I was saying this team, we put out a Twitter, a TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I was so passionate. This team keeps games close. And then we saw what happened. I feel like that's the announcer jinx right there. But the Halifax Mooseheads taking a look at this road trip for them, going through 3-2 against Quebec, 5-4 against Baie-Comeau, and then, of course, as you mentioned, 9-3 against Chicoutimi. So since the last time we spoke, though, the trend continued because they had a 1-goal victory once again after they already had a 1-goal victory against Quebec. And then they decided, you know what? We've had a pretty good road trip so far. Let's have the very typical letdown spot in our last game of the roadie. But 9 goals is a lot, and I guess you just don't like to see it if you're a coach because, let's be honest, you can kind of tell that the team packed it in by any means. Chicoutimi, they played well, but when you look at that scoreline, look at when the goals came as well, you can kind of tell, but they took their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. Let's rewind before we get to the tough game, though, and talk about the great game and the exciting game, the 5-4 win over Baie-Comeau. One player you and I just keep hyping up on this show, and we'd love to get on the show at some point, Oleg Kulibiakin. He just continues to put on a show for this Halifax Mooseheads team.
100%. I don't know how good his Russian is yet. Maybe we'll let his Russian or his English get a little bit better. Excuse me. But, man, he keeps going, and he keeps firing on all cylinders. A hat trick, his first of his career in the Q. So great for him. That'll be definitely something he remembers for a long time, coming up from the USHL last year to the CHL. A lot of players did it, and a lot of them were expected to be top caliber players. And Oleg Kulibiakin has kind of lived up to that expectation. And, he's potting goals left, right, and center. He had 3 against Baie-Comeau. He had 1 against Chicoutimi. We'll get to that. But, a great game from him all around.
And looking at that game overall, it wasn't an easy win by any means. Obviously, with the close 5-4 scoreline and, the huge hat trick is super exciting. But what else did you see from that game? Looking at, I think that when you look at really the goaltending as well, Nick Circa made some key saves overall. And I think even though Baie-Comeau put 4 on the board, he still really held things down. Sometimes I find in CHL hockey, a score line can maybe not dictate how well a goaltender played. Like, we don't get as much like the advanced metrics websites, at least that I know, to look at and dissect QMJHL hockey games. But for him giving up 4, it might not look the best, but based on what I've seen, he really did have a pretty good game.
Yeah, he played absolutely. He played a great game, like you said. Like, there was times that the Mooseheads probably should have been out of it. Like we said, they started the game and they were down 2-0, and he definitely had to stand on his head a little bit until Kulibiakin scored those two to tie the game. Ty Fair made it 3-2 with a point shot. But like I said, until those goals went in, it would have had to be Nick Circa standing on his head, keeping this thing tight. And even when later in the game, when Baie-Comeau actually went up 4-3 again, Nick Circa called on once again. So there's times where your goaltender has to be good, but there's times that he's quietly good. Like a player can be quietly good. I've talked about this before with Eddie Doyle. He can quietly have a good game, if you know what I mean. Circa might have let in 4, but there was times that he might have been one of the better players on the ice for the Mooseheads. So I think that goes both ways a little bit. Good for him to get some more confidence every game in the crease for Circa this year is just one step forward to becoming a starter in junior hockey. You got to remember this kid came in last year at 16 years old, and he's doing just fine.
And not just a hat trick for Kulibiakin, but the 4-point night, getting an assist as well. So extremely good night for him. Liam Kilfoyle, let's talk about him for a second, because I feel like some of these younger guys are kind of stealing the spotlight and we're giving them attention. But sometimes when a player is at a training camp for an NHL team, they come very close to making the main camp and or making the main team, and you did make the main camp, playing a game or two, but you get sent back down. The pro team knows what you're capable of offensively, right? And I think that sometimes those pro teams are looking for, like, let's see more two-way hockey out of you. Let's see you take more face-offs or play in the defensive zone a lot more. And so I feel like we're talking about these young guns a lot for the Halifax Mooseheads this season. Liam Kilfoyle obviously had the assist on that great goal, the last goal from Kulibiakin. But I think he's having a really good little stretch here for the Halifax Mooseheads. And maybe some of the guys with the flash and with the hat tricks we're seeing maybe are outshining that. But I think right now, as a quiet leader on this team, Kilfoyle has been a huge part of the success with this Mooseheads team.
Yeah, he's been great, but I think there is still a little bit inside of him that wants to get going. I know when I watched that the highlights back and he scored that goal, it was a tip off shot from the point and he just got his stick on it. But when he realized it went off his stick to the back of the net, he turned so quick, went to the boards, put his arms up, celebrated. Like it was a very quick and just a big rush of emotion. Just like you could see the yes. And I could tell that was a long he just wanted that one. It was the game tying goal, I believe, Kulibiakin with the game winner. So yeah, something to tie the game up. A great shot by Kilfoyle there to tip that one in. So yeah, I think it's all good for Kilfoyle. Like we said, he might not be putting up the most numbers offensively, but yeah, I think he's fitting right in where he needs to.
And that's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. I mean, to tie it up from Kulibiakin and then to give it to Kulibiakin for the game winner, you got to love that. So a 3-2 win over Quebec in somewhat lower scoring fashion, then a 5-4 win over Baie-Comeau, and then we have to talk about it. If we're going to talk about the goods, we got to talk about the bad here on this show. Guys, if you're watching, if you're a diehard Moose fan, we want to hear what you think. Is it acceptable? Do you give the Halifax Mooseheads a pass for ending their road trip with a 9-3 loss? We're pretty positive about this team. And the only thing I'm going to say is that it's one of those, okay, you get a wash, you get a pass, but 9 goals, like maybe a 5-1 loss or a 6-1 loss, but that's tough. That's a lot of goals to let in. And it was a tough night to be a goaltender for the Halifax Mooseheads too.
Yeah, I have a theory on this one, Andrew. I've got myself a theory. So high scoring game. It's 3-1, 3-3, going into the midway point of the third, tied up off of a shot from Kilfoyle as well. So a game tire in 2 straight games. And then things kind of opened up a little bit. It was 5-3 for Chicoutimi going into the end of the third period. They're still within reach. It's only a 2-goal lead. But then 17 minutes left. Chicoutimi gets a 6-3 lead, and that kind of just opened the floodgates. And I think right from that 5-3, you're going into the third period. You need one quick off the board. You need to just get one quick within the first 5 minutes. And if the other team scores within the first 5 minutes, it kind of just spoils your whole plan. And the Mooseheads right there were kind of just like, all right, let's pack the bus and head back to the 902.
Yeah, it seemed like that. It sure did seem like that. It's very typical of a last game of the road. This did not look like a team that was just starting out on a road trip. Like, let's take a look at the Wednesday game versus the Quebec Rempart, right? Look at that 3-2, solid defensively, comes down to the wire, find a way to execute and win the game. And then, I mean, and this is why when we look at it, and you've talked about the travel situations, how they're trying to cut down on it, and you know, we've seen some back-to-backs, we've seen some home and homes with some of the Maritime Division, or not Maritime Division, but the Maritime teams. But if you are Chicoutimi and you're sitting at home, you're relaxed, you're prepped, you're watching the Halifax Mooseheads play one game, play another, win both those games, and saying, all right, let's see what they're going to be bringing here today. And we certainly saw. We got to give them respect, though. Tip our cap to Chicoutimi. They did play a good game. They did bring it offensively. And let's not sit here and act like they aren't first place in the conference here. 16-3-1. Chicoutimi, Halifax Mooseheads now currently 13-7-1 on the season. 28 points for the Halifax Mooseheads here. 22 games into the season. Chicoutimi with 35. I think it was just a very tough situational spot for them. And of course, Baie-Comeau 10th and Quebec 7th. So from where I'm sitting, it's almost like if you're the Halifax Mooseheads, you would have preferred that first game of the road trip or even second game to be against Chicoutimi. But it's very difficult. And I don't want to blame the youth. Obviously, it's a young team, but it's very difficult to equally get up for that last game as it is for maybe the start of a road trip. It's tough.
100%. You look at the way Chicoutimi probably came into that game. Like, it's a Sunday, 5 p.m. Atlantic time, so 4 p.m. local game. You don't have to go far after your game. Most of the players probably live in billet houses within half an hour from the arena. So there's not far to go for them. You got a little cool down, little hop in the cold tub, and then hop home. And so there's not much. For the Mooseheads on the other side, it's get your gear off, get showered, and grab a bag of chips at the closest gas station because the boys are heading down the highway back to Nova Scotia, and you've got probably like 12-ish, maybe 10 hours from Baie-Comeau or Chicoutimi area.
You have the graphic? Well, let's bring it up. If you have the graphic, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but Dayton's doing some great work. We might as well showcase this graphic that you created because it is not easy as far as the travel situations are concerned. So you talk about that Halifax Mooseheads tweet that they put out there. 4 out of 6 points, they will happily take it. And I'm going to add this as well. The fact that coming out in the shootout on top is big. That one extra point is huge. So to get that shootout victory, and I keep talking about it, all of these 1-goal victories or 1-goal games are very important. But there it is. There's the map. Great stuff there by Dayton. And looking at kind of the travel and what this team had to go through there, as you mentioned, they're going to leave Chicoutimi after the 9-3L, and it's on the highway for not just an hour or two. It's several hours getting home. Probably would have been late night getting home, late Sunday night. And part of me wonders, like, do they ever think that it'd be a better idea to stay at the hotel? But the thing is, some of these guys got school to get to on Monday. And, as much as people make jokes about CHL and the academics, some of the guys actually do care about their schooling. They got to get back home. So I can only imagine how late it was that bus arrived back home. But look, Dayton, on Thursday, we're going to, of course, discuss the future, and we'll look across other leagues. I think we're going to start talking some Thunderbirds here soon, which will be really exciting. But they've got a back-to-back scheduled here, a trip to the Rock in St. John's, Newfoundland here. So looking at the standings, looking at this matchup, we'll talk about it more coming up here. But how do you feel this Mooseheads team will fare in that matchup?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before we recorded. They're 2 points away in the standings, 28 points for the Mooseheads, 26 point for the Regiment. The next 4 points on the table over on the Rock. It's up for grabs. So whoever wants to take them can take them. But I'm just going to say right now, the Mooseheads are probably in need of them if they want to stay in the top 4. But we'll get into that on Thursday for sure with a little bit more of an in-depth preview.
Guys, you can find us, of course, on all platforms that are showcasing podcasts. Make sure you give us 5-star review. Make sure you check us out Facebook and TikTok, Halifax Sports Talk, X and Instagram, HFX Sports Talk. Of course, we're delivering at least 2 podcasts a week, but you can check us out on all social media platforms as well. And any hot topics you guys want us to discuss, anything locally you want us to jump into, or any players or maybe even teams that you want more out of us, we're here for you. We're supposed to be the Halifax Sports Talk channel. We want to hear what you and Halifax have to say and what you guys want to hear from us. So that will do it for the weekend recap. Dayton, any final words?
Yeah, I think I should just mention this Thursday, the 4th of December, before their home opener, will be the first video. We're going to have Jeremy Keefe. He's a friend of Pat Mayo who set this all up. So Jeremy's going to be joining us for weekend previews, weekend recaps, the occasional recap. He's definitely down for Thursdays. So check us out on Thursdays for sure. Myself, Andrew, Jeremy Keefe. He's a big NLL lacrosse junkie, I guess you could say. And he loves it all. So he's going to be joining us all season long for breakdowns of the Thunderbirds. Yeah, Andrew, I just thought I should mention that, our new guest.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to it. A new sport for our show, our podcast is about to begin very, very soon. And man, oh man, has Halifax ever adopted this team? And obviously his success last year. I had a blast going to the playoff semifinals last year. I mean, this team overall has really taken in the Halifax fan base as well. But I'm looking forward to a new season. So it's about to be a very busy time. I'll mention one thing as well. I went to my first AUS basketball game of the season over the weekend, and it was St. Mary's versus X. And obviously 2 very popular alumni groups, a lot of older guys. My old man, he went to SMU. I was there with him. And Jashawn Downey from St. Mary's, 41 points in an AUS basketball game. I felt like I was watching the Golden State Warriors. Like, looked really, really good. And I'll tell you, like, this basketball is very competitive. And you've got the Nationals here next year for basketball. And in 2026, so in a handful of months, you've got the Nationals hockey for the AUS. So a lot to discuss as far as the AUS is concerned. And as the season picks up, we'll start getting into that a lot more. But I wanted to mention how great that was. And my first game going to see a guy drop 41 points in the AUS was pretty cool. So thought it was worth mentioning. But NLL, AUS, Halifax Mooseheads. Before we know it, we'll be talking about the Wanderers off-season pickups. It's kind of that chill window right now. But of course, the Christmas time in January, usually they start announcing some big off-season pickups. And we got to find out the coaching situation as well. So all kinds of stuff to get to. But if you're watching on YouTube, hit that bell, subscribe to our channel, of course, hit the like button. But we hope you guys are enjoying all of our shows. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.